I get asked just about every single day how to buy real estate with no money. And today I'm going to show you exactly what to do. Real estate is very expensive. This house costs $150,000. Because real estate is so expensive, it's also the best tool I know to become wealthy really fast. If you found a house like this on sale for $120,000 and could turn around and sell it for $150,000, you could make $30,000. This is real. Could you imagine making $30,000 from just one deal? I've done it hundreds of times. I've helped my clients do it thousands of times. And often it's for way more than $30,000. But how do you buy a house like this if you don't have $150,000? I'm going to show you. Now, if you want to buy a house, but you don't have that much money, you can always go to a bank and a bank will loan you the money. They call that loan a mortgage. Now, in order for a bank to give you a mortgage so that you can buy the house, the bank will ask you for three things. Let me show you exactly what those things are. All right, so check it out. The first of the three things that you're going to need is a job. Now, I don't care how young or how old you are, you gotta land a job, and you should land the best job that you possibly can, right? I mean, get a job that'll pay you as much as possible, that'll help. I mean, my first job didn't pay me a whole lot, but I'll tell you that the whole point here is you gotta have a job and you gotta be in the same industry for at least 2 years. So technically you could move from one job to the next, but if you do, you don't wanna move from like dentistry to accounting, right? You wanna stay in the same line of work for 2 years. That's really important to banks. Now, the other thing I wanna share with you is that actually I'm right outside the building of the first job I ever had. And the first job I ever had was actually in sales. I'm just gonna tell you right now, just a little bonus tip is that if you get a job in sales, there's a lot of useful things you're gonna learn that are gonna help you in real estate. Because real estate, even though it looks like it's about buildings and brick and mortar, it's actually just about people. And it's about how you communicate and how you work with people. And like most things that pay really well in life, sales is a really important thing. So they're gonna train you. Okay, so the first thing the bank needs from you to qualify for a mortgage is a 2-year work history at the same job or in the same industry. The second thing they're gonna need for you to have is good credit. This shows them that they can trust you. It also shows them that you're responsible and that you can handle having a mortgage. So how do you get good credit? Well, you need 3 credit cards. You need to be careful here. If you use the credit cards the wrong way, it can backfire on you and it can make it harder for you to get the house. So here's the right way to use the credit cards. First, you need to get 3 of them. Go to banks like this, or you can go online and you can apply for very basic credit cards. We're not looking for anything fancy. And it's okay to tell them that you're using them to develop good credit. Now, this part is really important. Do not use them to buy stuff you don't have the money for. Only use them to pay for things that you already have the money to buy anyway. And here's the secret. Let's say you have $100 and you're gonna buy some new clothes. Use the credit card and buy the clothes and immediately make a $100 payment to the credit card so that you have it paid off. Every time you use a credit card to buy something, you need to quickly turn around and keep it paid off. If you do this with these 3 credit cards, you'll develop a good credit score in time. Okay, are you ready for the third thing that the bank needs to give you a mortgage? Now, you remember that sales job that we talked about? This sales job, at first, even though it was hard and it was challenging, it actually allowed me to earn some commissions on the side, which is one of the reasons why I recommend it. In fact, if you can put yourself in a position where one way or the other you can save an extra $500 a month, that's gonna help you with the next thing that the bank is gonna ask for, which is a down payment. Now, how much of a down payment are you gonna need? Do you remember that $150,000 house? For just a moment, let's just say that it is worth $150,000, but that you can get it for $120,000. So you're getting it at a discount, a $30,000 equity position that you get to have if you ever sell that house. So banks will often require a 3% down payment. 3% on $120,000 is roughly $4,000. So $4,000 plus maybe a little extra in savings is what the bank's gonna ask for you to have when it comes time to actually buy that house. So just imagine for a moment that you are delaying gratification on some of the nicer things you'd like to have and you're saving $500 a month. Well, if you did that for 2 years, you'd actually save $12,000, more than what you actually need to make this whole deal go down. Okay, so now you know what to do to qualify for the mortgage. Now what? Well, you need to look at 100 different houses for sale and pick the very best one. Not the house that's the best, but the house that has the best numbers. First of all, you've got to look in the right neighborhoods. If you look in San Francisco or New York City, those houses are going to be way too expensive. You're going to have to look a little ways away from home to find houses in the right price range. And what if you don't want to live in a house like this? And check it out. This is where I live right now. I designed and built this house just 4 years after buying that very first house, using the exact same strategy that I'm teaching you right now. This is the very first house that I bought. Now check it out. It's not a dream home, but I bought this house for $110,000. I later sold it for $165,000 while making incredible cash flow along the way, down payments, doing my lease option system. Now, what I want you to understand here is that on your first house, you can do it right or you can do it wrong. And what I mean by that is you gotta buy the right house. Don't buy the wrong house. The difference is that you gotta fall in love with the deal. You gotta fall in love with the numbers, not the house itself. Biggest mistake that people make is they think that their first home should be their nicest home that they can possibly afford at this time in their life. And right now that is not the case. This house is about spawning several more because when I bought this house, 4.5 years later, this was my house, and my real estate was paying me $12,000 every single month. I was able to quit my job. That's what I call retirement. Now, this all happened since the age of 26, and now I'm 38, and I only work because I want to. My real estate today is making me a lot more than $12,000 per month, and I only put in a handful of hours. So I get to play a lot, and I get to focus on only doing the things that are important to me. But before I lived here, I lived here. Now, this wasn't my dream house. This isn't where I wanted to live, but I made some sacrifices, and in a moment you'll see why. And before I lived here, I worked here. I had a 2-year work history. I saved up my $4,000 down payment, plus had a few thousand extra in the bank for an emergency fund, and I used my 3 credit cards responsibly to develop a good credit score. This was not my dream job. In fact, I often really didn't like working this job. But I had a goal, which was to buy real estate, so I kept working here, and I saved as much as I could every single month. Okay, earlier I instructed you to look at 100 houses and buy the one that had the best numbers. Now there's a couple more things about this house that I want to show you. Meow. Okay, check this out. You'll notice that there's a couple of doors on this house. Right here, there's one right on the front, right? I lived upstairs. That was my 3-bedroom, 1 bath. But down this little behind the car on the side, that's a doorway into the basement. So what made this house work so well for me is that the basement actually brought in some rent. And by the time I bought this house and refinanced it, I basically was bringing in $550 from the basement, and my mortgage was around $550. So guess what that really meant? That meant that I was living for free. Now, by the way, this was better than the hole in the ground that I was living in, the 400 square feet, but I was living there, not my dream apartment, because I was saving money. Same thing on this, guys, not my dream house, but this house, what was dreamy was the numbers on it. Now, some of you are gonna look at this and say, Kris, I can't do that. That's way too hard. Remember how I talked about looking at 100 homes to make this worth it? I'm gonna tell you right now, you might have to look at 100 deals, but when you find the right one, it makes all the difference in the world. Look, this is the best way that I know how to get started in real estate. Your first house may not have a basement apartment like this one did, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it took sacrifice, it took hard work, and it was totally worth it because I followed my rules and I did it the right way, and now you know how to do it too. If you're new to this channel, I'll teach you about real estate, Bitcoin, money, entrepreneurship, and wealth. Really, the goal of this video was to paint a clear picture of what's possible with real estate and how to get started when right now you don't have any money. Now you know, but I'm sure you still have a lot of questions. Tell you what, subscribe to this channel and then put your questions in the comments below. I create new episodes every single day. I'll answer them for you and I'll give you the answers to the information that you're looking for. If you also want to take a more aggressive start, then what I want you to do is actually click the link in the description below and you can actually talk to my team. We'll give you a private consultation and show you how I can become your mentor and help you get started as quickly as you can.